Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Sammy and I, People's TV. Thursday. We nearly got through the week. It's not been the most enjoyable week. We don't need to speak about Ruben Amorim and the future of Ruben Amorim and whether he's going to be sacked and what he needs to be changing because we've already done that for these last few days. So today's show, I'm going to be speaking about the finances. Might find that a little bit boring. I'm just going to explain them to you because, unfortunately, for Manchester United, fans understanding or trying to understand the finances is far more important than most clubs because of the situation that we have been in. I'm going to run through the latest finances that got released yesterday, what they mean, dive into the numbers a little bit more. Yeah, I would say Jim Ratcliffe was definitely lying when he said that United could nearly run out of cash. And we're also going to run through what we can speak about. Players returning from injury. We'll speak about Cunha. Not really much to say about Mason Mount. And yeah, going to run through the rest of the news, and you're going to get involved in a chat. And as always, we're just going to have a good show. We'll try to anyway. Let's see who's here from the mod and the member gangs. Let's get on with it. Anyone ever seen Warriors? Randomly, I'm just thinking about gangs. It used to be a really good game as well. I've been playing the Warriors game. That was class. Random. I know. Steph, good morning to you. Carl, good morning to you. Josh, you'll be here as always. We've got Stu. We've got Tony, Teresa, Smee. We've got Priam, Fizz, and some non-members. We've got Dalron, who's just said he's not looking forward to watching the game of the weekend. Let's be honest. Neither am I. But I'm going to be watching it. We'll preview the Chelsea game tomorrow with the lunchtime video, and we'll have a conversation tomorrow. Can I just say to everybody again, I'm going to say this for the next few shows. The new PO box is properly open now. Okay, the address is pinned as the comment. And if you look in the description of every live video, it's also in the description. Now, the PO box has really not worked properly so far. Royal Mail absolutely screwed me for like 3 months, and there was a lot of back and forth. Anyway, this one's set up properly. I've already tested the route, and it worked perfectly. It's with a completely different company. And now if you're anywhere around the world and you want to send stuff in to go on the community wall here, you can. If you want to send in programs, I can pop them up on the shelf here. Finally, the vision can come together of building part of this studio with what you send in. That's what I've always wanted to do. And we've got shelf space behind me, which you can't really see there. That shelf there, that's also free. And that one up there, plus the wall. Teresa, you're saying anyone else looking forward to seeing McTominay against City tonight? I'll speak about that. All right. First things first. I want to mention this first. Did anybody see that game last night? I watched some of it. The Forest against Swansea game. Forest, of course, Postecoglou's just gone there. Forest 2-0 up. Losing 3-2. Man, what a game of football that was. And Swansea coming up with the 97th minute winner from the corner. And I just wanted to, I suppose, congratulate Ethan Galbraith. Now, Ethan Galbraith has moved to Swansea, I think, this season. And I think he's the perfect example. He's the perfect example of a young academy player at Manchester United who may well not have made it at Manchester United, but it does not mean he's not a good footballer. And you follow his career path here, and you can see all the different loan spells, all the different moves he's had. Doncaster, Salford, Leyton Orient, Swansea. He's worked his way through the leagues. And last night, he nearly scored an absolute blinder from the corner right at the end. Comes out to him and he crashes it off the post. It comes back and it got fired in for the winner. But just kind of congratulations to him. I think it's a pretty cool example to players that you can work your way through the leagues and come the whole way back to the top. So he's now playing with Swansea in the Championship. And I'll be honest, I think you'll probably see him in the Premier League. Very much looks like and kind of is a Premier League quality level footballer. There you go. Frank, good morning to you. Gifting 5 memberships. I remember you asked for the PO box to be global. It is now, so you can send in whatever you wanted to send in before. And Gungshi, good morning to you, my man. Are you still out in Japan? I swear you were out in Japan before. Have I completely made that up? Don't know. I might have made that up. Not making this up. Mourinho, here we go to Benfica yesterday. Was it this morning? I think it might have been at some point during the middle of the night. Smee gifting 5 memberships as well. Everyone's coming hypey this morning. Ooh. Man, I wish I could tell you what's going on behind the scenes, what we're working on for the community right now, but it's too early a stage for me to give you too many details. But I promise you, you're all really, really going to like it. I'm putting a big promise behind this. It's probably the most ambitious and most exciting thing I'd argue that we've ever done. Gunks, you're in Taiwan. Damn it. Swing and a miss from Sam there. Anyway, Mourinho back in Portugal. He's at Benfica. Bitter rivals of Porto. That's going to be an interesting one. Do you think what do you think about Mourinho these days? Random little conversation here. Do you think he's going to go and be a success at Benfica? Or do you think the ship has sailed on Mourinho's, I wouldn't say career, I kind of would say career. What do you think? Madhouse saying he's got wings for ears. Benfica missed a trick there, just like dropped the wings that are coming out of his shoulders. Would have been like, I say, it wasn't Benfica, that was Fabrizio Romano's designer. It would have been the easiest design to ever do in your life. Dowler saying Benfica's fixtures in the Champions League are hectic. I think they got, is it Chelsea and then they got Newcastle? They got Barcelona? I can't remember if they got Barcelona. MR, the Bonnie Blue of football. That is not a nice thing to call him. Yeah, Siraj, I think he should become, at some point, the Portuguese manager. Is Roberto Martinez still the Portugal manager? I don't know. Emmanuel saying he's successful anywhere he goes. Is he particularly successful at Fenerbahce? Can't actually remember what he did last season. No idea. Anyway, he's got a 2-year contract. So he can't do the 3rd year typical Mourinho explosion. Man, I'm taking myself back now. I remember when Fergie first retired. I can only explain how my mindset worked as a United fan at that time. Kind of shows you how entitled, is that the word? You may well use it to describe it like that. Fergie retired, and then it was about who's going to replace him. And I was like, screw that. United are not going to go after Mourinho. We're better than that. We don't need Mourinho still. No, that's not how Manchester United does it. And we can do better than that. And then 3 years later, we brought Mourinho in, and I wanted Mourinho in. And then you got Mourinho at United, and you're like, it's going to be different, man. Like he's had success at Chelsea and success at Inter. I know all of that, but he doesn't have like the Fergie legacy at one club. He's never stayed at a club for like 10, 15, 20 years. That's what he'd love to have. He'll be different at United. It'll be different. Yeah, and it absolutely wasn't. It was the exact same. Because United, I think, pulled the plug on the fire. It got a bit ugly. Geez, that Pogba Mourinho situation. Either way, it was kind of exactly what we all feared would happen. Happened. Caleb saying Mourinho's football ideologies are outdated. I wouldn't expect it to massively work there, but let's find out. This is just, again, another little bit of news about managers. Some move from Wolves, that. Wolves currently bottom of the league, 0 points, renewing Vitor Pereira's contract, which is it's a real show of faith, that. Move that mic up a little bit. That's better. A massive, massive show of faith there. I think last season at Wolves, I was reading about it, he had the highest points per game average of any Wolves manager in history in the Premier League. I think that's what I read. But anyway, they've started to see it kind of goes to show you the faith that they have in the fact that they don't want to just be stuck in the cycle of replacing managers and exit. Anyway, I thought that was quite a bold decision. Now, can I move on to this? This has to be like one of the most random for like parallel universe photos you'd ever bloody likely to see. Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have ever thunk that? Kevin De Bruyne, Scott McTominay, and Rasmus Højlund all lining up tonight, potentially, for Napoli against City. Now, this is a game I'm definitely going to be tuning in to watch. I would absolutely love it. Mate. McTominay's swag since he left Manchester for Italy. Damn. Stop shopping at the Arndale and just shop at Hugo Boss and Gucci instead. Anyway, I'm definitely going to be tuning into that game tonight. And I know there's you can already see the headlines. If McTominay or Højlund was to score, someone's saying they look like triplets. I would say 3 different stages of beard, but only one of them's got a beard. Anyone saying Scott's supposedly 6'4" and Rasmus is 6'3", yet they look the same height in that photo. Almost like there's 1 inch difference in their height, and they might be leaning. Oh, Danny is saying McTominay would be our ideal number 9 right now. I still don't think that it was the wrong decision to move Scott McTominay on. He wasn't ever used in his correct position. I do think that he could operate really well as one of those 2 inside forwards, one of the 2 number 10s. But McTominay was, I think he was, the big gripe that we all had with him was that he was never progressive enough with the ball from deep. But he's great at running with the ball when he's near the opposition's box. Anyway, I'm happy for him, man. I'm happy for what he did. I hope someone, I think I've said this before, but I really hope somebody's making or made like a little McTominay first season at Napoli doc from behind the scenes. I'd love to see that, man. And if anybody's here and they're watching from Naples, send me photos of the Scott McTominay murals. I want to see those. Siraj saying the old board sold McTominay. He would have thrived under Amram. Can we stop the McTominay's number 9? Well, we don't need to talk about McTominay. I'm just wishing him good luck tonight. So, yeah, I'll be tuning in to watch that game. Full show. I'm hoping that Napoli can do a job. McTominay is a central attacking midfielder who was played as a CDM. Well, it's because Mourinho brought him through, invented an award. Still, that's still one of those random things you've ever seen at the end of the season award at United. Mourinho just invented it. Was it like Manager's Player of the Year or something like that? I can't remember what the award was. But it wasn't an actual award, but he just wanted to give something to Scott McTominay. What are we saying down there? How have we got 600 mil of earnings and still be 30 mil out of pocket? Well, let's have a conversation. Finances, right? As I said, I really, really wish, well, I wish quite a few things that we haven't had to sort of try to understand as United fans. You know how much I sort of despise the whole political debate that came around when it came to like state ownership and who was right and who was wrong. And then that was just all, I hated that. That was grim. And I also hate the fact that you kind of have to be an accountant to be a football fan these days. Certainly when it comes to being in the Premier League, because the money involved is just, it's mind-boggling every year. I mean, for a long time, football's become a money game. But it seems to be becoming even, I think probably the biggest difference I would say in the last, I've noticed it a lot in the last, 2 to 3 years. It's the fact that the money really now is spread through the league. I don't mean that in a bad way. But like when you're seeing Sunderland coming up and spending north of 100 mil, you're seeing Bournemouth like selling and signing players for amounts of money that they would only have ever dreamed of a couple of years ago. There's more of a spread of it. It's not just City, Chelsea and United going out and spending big. It's kind of everyone. And at the same time as all of that, United's finances have been in the pits for a long time. You know that. Now, as somebody just put there, I'll just try and explain some top-level numbers, right? Well, these are some top-level numbers here. And I'll run through the Athletic article, kind of highlight some key points, right? You can see what the top line number is. Man United's revenue is a club record revenue, 666.5 mil. Red Devils indeed. Broadcasting revenue's gone down. You know why that's gone down. Europa League. Match day revenue has gone up. And actually, that's an English club record match day revenue. Operating expenses, they've gone down. Employee benefit expenses, wages, they've gone down. Commercial revenue's gone up. But despite all of that, Manchester United still made a loss. So for 6 years in a row, still 6 years, Manchester United have made a loss. Now, I have no clue about... We're not going to get into a full business debate and conversation. But if you have a business that loses money 6 years on the trot, man, that business is not in a healthy condition. And that would probably kill most... In fact, that would kill most businesses. Now, you're going to get like certain stuff, businesses that come out of Silicon Valley, and their business model is to create a massive user base, and they're going to have like 10, 15 years of losses that's going to be paid for through angel investment that ultimately will eventually turn into profit. You kind of like keep that separate. Just in general, if a business loses 6 years in a row, they're not in a healthy place. Now, let me dive into the numbers a little bit more. It's from The Athletic, right? Mark Critchley and Chris Witherspoon. As I said, United recorded the highest revenues in the club's history last season, despite not competing in the Champions League. £665.5 million. The bank is saying from a business point of view that loss is intentional for tax purposes. Well, you're not going to pay any tax you're not going to pay any corporation tax if you don't make any profit, which I guess is your hint. And no, United aren't putting themselves in 6 years of consecutive losses because they don't want to pay the tax man. Although conveniently, they probably don't have to pay corporation. I'm guessing they don't have to pay corporation tax because you're at a loss. Anyway, a bit more. Match day, these are some more details down here, right? Match day takings rose to 160.3 mil, a record for an English club. Now, we're talking about last season. We're talking about kind of crap decisions that Ineos made. One of the big ones was out of nowhere increasing, if I remember correctly, increasing the costs for non-season ticket holders. So just standard tickets that were sold to like United members went up to £66 for unsold tickets, if I remember correctly. They also introduced a lot more hospitality last season. You remember the rows that were... I don't actually know if they were brought in last season. The rows that were sitting behind the dugout, those season ticket holders got moved and they turned those into hospitality seats. Unfortunately, the fact that match day takings rose to that level, despite the fact that we finished 15th, despite the fact that we had our worst season in the Premier League, despite the fact that we weren't in the Champions League, and that's a record for an English club. Like it makes your mind boggle sometimes. It really does. Like, it's stuff like this which I suppose it just kind of makes you remember, like, my word, the size of this bloody football club. For us to literally have record match day takings for an English club, despite not being in the Champions League and despite the season that we've had, is nuts. Commercial income, that rose. Different deals that they brought in. But you can see there. Nevertheless, United recorded a £33 million loss. Down from 113 mil. We like that. It's an improvement. But still a loss. And United have forecast. They've dropped their forecasts. So every year in the annual reports, they'll give a forecast for how much they think they're going to make next year. So they've actually reduced that, presumably off the back of United not being in Europe. Richie's saying, Sam, our accounts for next period should be an improvement considering we've reduced our wage bill. Well, also the accounts for the next period will include... This is the accounting period up to the end of June. Remember when United had to do the PSR, had to get it all done before that, and then Villa sold their women's club like the day before. Oh, what a coincidence. Our next set of accounts, which I think, well, they run from July to September, so they get released in October. I don't actually know when the next ones come out. Colm is saying right now, commercial club, nothing more. I mean, who can disagree with you? That has been Manchester United for some time now. Football's always been an irrelevance, an inconvenience, really. It's not something that Ineos have ever said at any point, and they keep reiterating. Omar Barada said it as well, like success on the pitch. Well, we're 15th last year, 14th this year. Can't say that United haven't been investing in it, though. Bit more down here, right? United's wage bill has fallen to 313.2 million. It's the lowest wage bill that we've had since the 2019-20 season. And I don't know whether this is a good stat or not, right? I really don't know whether this is a good stat. But United's wage bill is now lower than Arsenal's for the first time ever in the Premier League. Now, part of me would say, well, good, United are getting on top of the fact that we've had such inflated wages that have not been relative to how good our football team has been for some time. And then on the opposite, I would say, well, Arsenal are also, and I mean, you could put it in inverted commas, saying Arsenal have been competing for the Premier League. Yeah, they've still not got any. They're still the bridesmaid. I think I'm looking at that in sort of like, I can understand the positives behind that. The fact that we've reduced our wage bill, but also I don't really want Arsenal's wage bill to be bigger than ours, because I think a wage bill is typically, United are the big anomaly in this, but typically a wage bill is kind of reflective of your ability to compete. The biggest wage bills, they normally have the best squads. As I said, United are the anomaly in this because we've had so much wasted money. But yeah, first time ever we've got less wages than Arsenal. And then down there, look, all these savings and everything that we've done, and we still had to bloody spend £36.6 million on sacking Ten Hag, paying off all of his staff, paying, I think it was 9 mil to Sporting for Amorim, and bringing him in. 36.6 mil we still had to pay on that. Yep, Fraser, of course, the 25% wage reduction with the Champions League. I know that. That's going to be part and parcel of why our wage bill is. But fair enough, yeah, I should have mentioned that. United's cash reserves. Look at this. This is nuts. United spent £279 million in cash on gross transfer payments for players last season, a single season club record by nearly £60 million. Now, if I'm correct, I'm sure there's going to be more information coming out on that bit. That would be to do with, you remember that Jim Ratcliffe said, before we sign any player this season, we have to write a check for like £89 million, something he said? I think he mentioned Sancho's name, Højlund's name, Casemiro? Can't remember. Old signings that we've made that we hadn't paid off the invoice for. A single season club record by nearly £60 million. Just found that a bit nuts. And look, of course, we know full well, maybe you didn't, the debt is just still going up. United's gross debt totaled 637 million, and that's up from 546 million, in part due to a borrowing a net figure of 130 mil from the credit card. Go on, Itchy Nose. United did not make any further drawdowns on the credit facility, but remember, we definitely just did. This period is up to June, doesn't include the summer. So the next accounts will include what we did this summer. So we don't know that yet. But yeah, our record revenues, record match day revenues, and increased in, but we still made a bloody loss. Yeah, strike back. Look, you're not wrong to be annoyed about this. It's kind of the issue. All these years we had inflated wage bills. What success did it bring? So I mean, Manchester United, man, why is this so itchy? United have been the anomaly in terms of wasted wages. I don't think there's been, I'd be surprised. Maybe Barcelona could probably come into this conversation. But has there been another club in world football better at wasting money than Manchester United over these last 10 years? I really don't think there is. We know that we've spent over $1 billion on transfers, and that's one thing in isolation, let alone all the other stuff that we've done, let alone all the wages. That's just on signings, let alone on the actual wages we spent to the players as well. I dread to think how much money that would actually turn out into. But all in all, the finances do look in a better position than they were last year. This is not to say that the finances are in a healthy position. As if I'm going to tell you that after we've just made our 6th bloody annual loss in a row. But a lot of the stuff that happened last season has had an impact. More is needed. It was quite literally impossible to do it all in 1 year. I'm going to be interested to see. As I said, the United have reduced the forecast for this year, so they're expecting now that this year, because we're not in European football, we're going to make less money. What else are you saying about teams who waste money? Barca, maybe Juve. Chelsea has to be close. Yeah, but a lot of Chelsea's money all got like written off when Abramovich is that money still frozen? Wasn't that supposed to go to like the Ukrainian war effort? Remember that? When Abramovich was forced to sell, and then the money from the sale got frozen in an account. I don't know whether that's ever even come out. Paul's saying need to start making profits when we sell players rather than multi-million-pound losses. Yeah, preach it there, man. That's been a big reason why United have wasted so much money. Because any asset that we've had has massively depreciated in value. And I'm calling players assets now, I'm speaking in business terms. But that's what we've done. We've rarely sold players for profit. Like even, who was it? Was it like, is it Renato Veiga that Chelsea bought? Hardly played him. And somehow sold him for either just as much as they paid for him or a profit, like a year down the line. Was it to AC Milan? Something like that? Can't remember. Football Cartoon with a very random comment. Bayern Munich played 4-2-3-1 and won against Chelsea. Aaron must learn from that. I suppose you're saying that because we're playing Chelsea at the weekend. So maybe it's a little bit less random. Aaron's not going to switch to a 4 at the back system. He's not going to switch to a 4-2-3-1. I already ran through. I suppose we can speak about that now. I was going to speak about it later. Later? Actually, no. That was my next talking point. Look, all in all, to end on the finances talk, better. Still quite crap in certain regards, but better. And ideally, this puts United into a better position to be able to continue spending as we should be able to spend. As Manchester United, one of the 3 bloody biggest clubs in the world, we should not have to even consider, within reason, can't go out and spend 400 million on every single player, but we shouldn't have to look down the back of the sofa in the way that we have done over these last years. And it's really laughable for a club of our size and our stature to be scrambling around for pennies. It's been quite embarrassing, really. So in that sense, it's better, but a lot of improvements still have to happen. Adam is saying, do other clubs have a credit card for buying players like you do? I don't actually know. I don't know the cash flow and the cash structure of City or Liverpool. I mean, I can't imagine that Liverpool had 400 odd mil in the bank. We know that they didn't actually pay that much out this summer. But anyway, who cares about other clubs? Honestly, I really don't care about them. The time where I start caring, like honestly, really caring and having conversations about other clubs is like, I can't cover United in as much depth as I do. And it's why I suppose I'm a little bit different to like this. Yeah, I don't have time to really go into too much depth about anything that's happening with Arteta at Arsenal or Liverpool and Arne Slot because I'm so busy with United. I'd rather continue like putting all my energies and efforts into my football club than caring about anything else. Clip saying we only know our finances because we're a public company. Yeah, it's a fair point. But anyway, let's speak about tactics now. And look, I did my video yesterday on the tweak I wanted to see from Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag? Ugh. Let me have a little drink for that. I'm not speaking about that again. That's a faux pas. It's because right down there, Carl, when I read the comment, you're about Erik ten Hag compensation. I blame you for that. Someone ban Carl. Anyway, I spoke about the tweak that I think Ruben Amorim should bring into his team. It's not a big tweak, man. Let's see if I can put it up here. For anybody who didn't see the video yesterday. No. Never mind. Not going to put it up because it might screw the rest of the windows up. All I wanted to do is drop the striker, bring him in to be a third midfielder, take the two number 10s and push them forward to be split strikers. Basically a 3-5-2 instead of a 3-4-3. That's all I want to see. That's all I want to see. I don't think it's a huge difference. I think there's probably been games where we've actually set up in that formation, certainly out of possession. We've played with split strikers before, but I want us to do it in possession too. Let's see against Chelsea, because I know, you know, everyone knows. If we go into that Chelsea game and we have the same midfield setup and we play like we play against City and we're pressing and we're leaving big spaces, man, they're going to play around us, man. They're going to play around us. They play with 3-4-3. They play with a midfield diamond, one holding at the base. Is it Caicedo at the base? I think it is. Then Enzo and don't actually know who they're. I'll look at it in a little bit more detail. But they play with a midfield diamond, one at the base, two in the middle, one number 10. And then they play with three across the front. 3-4-3. They're going to have bodies over us in midfield unless there is a tweak that happens. And that's something that's necessary. I thought this was an interesting one. From Sky Sports, right? It's showing the heat maps of Bruno Fernandes so far under each manager. You know, the first thing I would say about that. Let me pull this up one sec. I'm going to laugh and cry at this. How many bloody goals did we concede for the centre circle to be... How many goals did we concede under Erik ten Hag for the centre circle to be part of Bruno Fernandes' heat map under Erik ten Hag? Anyway, you can see the heat maps here. You can see that Bruno Fernandes, look, under Solskjaer, Bruno was hardly in his own half. Under Erik ten Hag, he dropped a little bit deeper sometimes, and that was towards the end of it. And under Ruben Amorim, there's just been a lot more of Bruno Fernandes deeper. I remember seeing it last season, and I thought, oh, maybe this is going to be how Bruno develops in his career. Okay, I can understand it. And it was... I would call it an experiment. And I call it a failed experiment. Right? It just doesn't work. Bruno does not have the positional discipline required to play in, I wouldn't say a static midfield role, but a role where you just simply have to have more positional discipline. You can't be running 20 yards that way and 30 yards that way. You've got the engine to do it. You've got the stamina to do it. No one questions that. But in a midfield too, you can't vacate that much space. As a number 10, you can vacate that space sometimes. You'd still cause problems, but then you've probably got your two midfielders behind you to back you up as a line before they reach your defence. If you vacate in the middle as one of the midfield two, then you're allowing the opposition to run straight at your centre-backs on the edge of the box. Problem. Far bigger problem. So, and this is down to United's transfer strategy this summer. United went big on Cunha and Mbeumo and Šeško. I think it should have been United going big on Cunha and Mbeumo and a central midfielder. And I don't mean this in a slight of saying I didn't want to sign Šeško. So don't put words in my mouth. I'm very happy that we did sign Šeško. I'm looking forward to seeing him really sort of get to grips with being a United player. And I don't mean that in a way like I think he's been massively underperformed. I think he actually played all right against City, but my God, we're not playing through him. Whip the balls in, man. Feed him and he'll score. Jason, yeah. I said this yesterday, and I'll stand by this. Like, Bruno Fernandes would be in the exact same conversation as Kevin De Bruyne had he joined City instead of United. And he was just utilised as a chief creator, which he is. I mean, the numbers do not lie. I think if I dove into it now, he's probably still one of the best creators in the league this season. Still, the numbers have been phenomenal. Not this season, but just overall in his United career. Use your best players in their best positions. That's not Bruno Fernandes as part of a midfield too. That might mean that you've then got Bruno and Cunha and Mbeumo for two number 10 positions. Not sure. It's going to be a problem. You're going to have to leave on. Right, fine. That's your decision. But I'd rather do that. It's like classic England. Old England every bloody England manager. Back in the day when you had the golden generation, you had Beckham, Scholes, Gerrard and Lampard. You can't fit them all into a team. Sod that. I will. I'll put Scholes left mid. Really? Shoehorning. Just shoehorning in the best players rather than the best team. We all know this. Like, it's such a cliche in football, but it does exist for a reason. Cliches exist for a reason. The best team is not necessarily the best 11 players. It's about cohesion. It's about how they work on the pitch. It's about the players in the right positions. That's not Bruno Deeper. Please play him further forward. Someone down there saying not playing through Šeško. I pray it's not the same with Højlund. Mate, you know what I want? Something I really want to see more of this season is whipped crosses. Dorgu tried against City. His conversion rate was awful, but Dorgu is really trying to get those balls in early. Just needs to be better at them. I want to see Mbeumo being able to, on that right-hand side, dip back in, and then Šeško, from the edge of the box, run onto it, glance it in. That's what I want to see, man. I need to see tweaks against Chelsea on Saturday. I need to. Now, let me see what you're saying down here in the chat, right? Mahmood saying, you're right, Sam. Well, sometimes I think I'm right. Not all the time. Hindsight speaking here, would you rather have bought an athletic midfielder instead of Cunha or Mbeumo? No. No, I wouldn't. Cunha and Mbeumo, for me, were two hits. Stand by the fact that we signed those two players. Absolutely. But if I was to look at what 75 million could do to this team, I definitely would have invested that money into midfield. Rather than, it's not to say that we didn't need a striker, because had we signed a midfielder, had we signed Baleba, speaking hypotheticals here, Man United may well be controlling games a little bit more, but we may well be sitting here equally as frustrated because we haven't got a centre forward who's banging them in, and we'd be like, oh, United did, we got Cunha and we got Mbeumo, but we got Baleba, but we didn't get a striker. Why didn't we get a striker in? The conversations may well be the exact same, but from a different perspective. We have no idea. But I'd rather have had that conversation, because goals you can spread. You can't really spread the midfield responsibilities without the personnel. And we have been creating enough chances. And that's with all the players that we signed. Someone down there saying, cut the mustard. At the moment, Bruno further forward works with Cunha injured, but when he is back, it becomes a problem again. Speaking about Cunha. Segue. Sully saying that Cunha has begun doing individual indoor grass training. You get indoor grass? AstroTurf. But the expectation is not going to be risked against Chelsea. I've got no intention of United risking Cunha at any point. There's no point, man. It is the one. Would I have loved Cunha to be there against City? Yeah, I would have. By the way, absolutely no word on Mason Mount. I haven't seen. They're going to bring up some photos from training yesterday. Haven't seen any photos of him in training. I don't really know what's going on with him. Could be fit. Don't think he is fit. No real word on it. Feels like United are kind of keeping the Mount situation under wraps. But there's no chance I would bring Cunha in against Chelsea. Who's next? We've got Brentford away the week after. And then we've got Sunderland before the next international break. 3 more games before another 2 weeks off. I'm looking forward to next season when it just gets wrapped into one longer international break. Yes, bloody please. But I personally wouldn't rush anybody back from a hamstring injury. You know that's one of the most susceptible ones to go ping, and then you're out for 6 months. Like Liam Delap's out for what? 10 weeks? Avoiding surgery. Someone down there saying Mount's probably out for 3 months. God knows what's going on with Mount, if I'm honest. I thought he was brought off as a precaution as well. Someone down there saying, Marmy, you're saying, do you think Ineos act hastily with manager and striker issues? What do you mean? Ineos moved Eric Ten Hag on when you can argue it wasn't hastily. It was the opposite. They gave him a few months and they went, balls, we messed this up. Then they moved him on. Striker. I think going into the summer, we had debates about this. Well, I know we did have debates about this. And there were so many of you that felt that we needed to sign a striker before we needed to sign a midfielder. There were quite a few of you. I'm not saying that everyone in this chat right now, but quite a lot of United fans had striker right at the top, ahead of a midfielder. And then we signed a striker, and we didn't sign a midfielder. And now everyone's like, oh, bloody hell, we needed a midfielder. Speaking about training, look, Lisandro Martinez, someone's asking down there what's going on with the Butcher. He is still... it feels like United have basically triple precaution with Martinez. I think we saw reports from Argentina suggesting that the expected return date for him would be somewhere between October and November. And United aren't going to rush this. United have already ballsed up with Martinez. Massively ballsed up with Martinez with the injury and the surgery he had before. I think part of this precaution is actually going to be coming from Martinez in his own personal camp, saying, screw that. This happened last time. You had to go back in for surgery again. You're not doing that this time. Take the extra month, 6 weeks. It's going to piss you off. You're going to get frustrated. But then you eliminate that chance of you getting a repeat injury and a repeat surgery. Sod that. Take your time. No good for us. Because a fit Martinez... man. I think Bruno's still my favourite post-Fergie signing. Probably would put Martinez as number 2. And that first season just made me remember what it was like to watch a footballer who played like he gave a crap beyond the wages. I don't know how to describe it, really. I just found an immediate connection with him just being like an absolute bastard on the pitch. The sort of player that you absolutely want in your team. So fingers crossed for him. I'm deeply concerned about his ability to come through these injuries and be the player that I remember. I'm concerned about his ability to cover large spaces in a back three that needs to cover large spaces. But I'm as soon as he's properly fit, get him back in that team, man. Sort of player that just kind of like no nonsense, really. Other players around him can't get away with as much because he's there. David, thanks for asking, saying, how's your leg? Tell you what, we're in a good place. Well, we're in a better place now. This is my 3rd week of training. So I'm in a gym 3-4 times a week. I'm cycling 3-4 times a week, only static cycling. I think I told you this before when I was out in Bilbao. Like on the last night in Bilbao, me and my mate's dad were just walking down the street. I don't know why they have it, but certain cities have got like these tiles that when it rains, everything turns to glass. And it was downhill, it was steep as hell. I was like, well, this don't look good. And it wasn't good. Slipped. And as I fell, he fell on my leg and bent. You know when you bend your knee like inwards? I definitely did some ligament damage because I haven't been able to sort of like, when you kneel down, like sit on my heels. I couldn't do that because my ligament wouldn't stretch enough. It's really getting better now. A lot less painful. So I actually think, what was it? I went to Bilbao in May. So what's that? June, July, August. So 4 months. 3-4 months. I actually think I had a ligament injury. I never got it diagnosed. Went to physio and they were like, yeah, you've done something there. But I'm getting better. I'm like Martinez. I'm definitely not like Martinez. You know what I mean? A football team. Anyway, other players that interesting to speak about that were in training yesterday. Bendito, Mantata. There was a few of them. Few under-21s players who didn't play with under-21s that lost to Barrow, weren't involved, and they've been involved in first-team training. Now, Mantato I highlighted him last season as a potential right wing-back option. I think in the games that he played in the pre-season tour? I think he played right wing more than right wing-back. He's definitely still one to watch. I think he's still only 17, but he's involved in the training. You've got, I think it's Tyler Fletcher. Can't actually remember. One of the Fletcher twins. I think that's Tyler Fletcher. In training with the first team as well. And one that you'll probably be happy to see happy to hear about is Shea Lacey. So Shea Lacey, he was in training with the first team. He wasn't involved in the under-21s, and people were like, oh no, Shea Lacey's got another injury. Doesn't sound like he's got an injury. Doesn't look like he's got an injury. He was training with the first team. And I'll tell you what my lunchtime video is today, and this is very well timed, if I do say so myself. We have got a video coming out on Shea Lacey. If you don't know who he is, watch this video. If you know who he is and you want to know how he's been getting on, watch this video. It's the latest in the sort of like what's happening series that we started kind of accidentally on this channel, but it's quickly grown into one of my favorite series, actually, because it just gives me an ability to really do a little bit of a mini deep dive into players and topics that, mainly players that fans want information about. So we've already done one on JJ Gabriel a couple of months ago. We'll give you an update because he's been playing with the under-18s. How has he been getting on? We'll cover that probably in a couple of months' time. We're going to do one on Shea Lacey there. We did one on, who else have we done? Lisandro Martinez and his injuries. Mason Mount and what was going on with him. Lenny Yoram, what was going on with him as well. Yeah. I hope you enjoy that one. Charlie's saying United have had 49 shots from inside the box and scored 2. Is that true? What's that as a conversion rate? 4%? Just under 4%, something like that. Jokey saying, been subscribed for a while now. Watch your videos every day. Absolutely love it. Watching United every week from Australia. Big up to you, dude. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody. Oh, man. I know I said at the start of the show. I'm going to say it again. Please stick around with us this year. I know it's tough, but please stick around with United People's TV because you wait until I'm able to share with you what we're building in the background for the community. You're all going to be buzzing. Oh, yeah, Diego Leon. We did one on Diego Leon. Yep, cool. Random question. Are there any... Put it in the comments. I do listen to what you say sometimes. What other videos would you like us to do like this? What's happening with X player? I want to do one on JJ Gabriel in a couple of months. Might do one on Amir Ibrahimov. See how he's been getting on. We already done one on Diego Leon. In terms of the first team, what players could we do one on first team? We'll probably do one on Sekou Kone in a little bit. I wouldn't say right now is the best time to do one because, of course, he's still recovering from that injury. But I think people would like to know a bit more information about Sekou Kone. Sonny Lamons, I think he'll make his debut this weekend. No one particularly interesting there. Madasia? Nah, not really. Not particularly. Cobby, we've already done one on Cobby. There's a good one, Rob. I'm definitely going to be doing that on Radek Vitek. I think I've already said that. I want to cover his loan spell at Bristol City and show you how he's been getting on. And I think that's a really good one there from ADG, right? Probably going to do one on Cheeto. Because I think people will be like, what's going on with Cheeto? He's involved in the first team. He's involved in the preseason. No, he's not. Where is he? What's going on? I'll do one on him. Rocky is saying you should do call-ins. I started those a while ago, but no one ever picked them up. I started doing them through Discord, and hardly anybody would join in the channels, and it didn't work out as well as I wanted it to, unfortunately. But I'm going to be bringing them back as well. Aiden Heaven, that's a good shout. Cool. It's good to know. It's good to know. Skulls. We won't be doing one on Skulls. Right. I'm going to wrap this up for today. That was a good show. Anything I've missed? Nope. No. Right. Lunchtime video is going to be on Shea Lacey today. Tomorrow is going to be the Chelsea starting 11. Saturday's the game. If you are new here, please do consider subscribing. All right. I'll be here tomorrow morning. It's Friday. Whip the map out. And yeah, it's been an interesting week is what I would describe it as. But now we can start speaking about Chelsea. All right. Take it easy, everyone.